Hey guys, Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. In today's I'm gonna try and make it rather quick because it's pretty late. But I just absolutely had to um talk about a movie that I just finished watching for the first time, and that is the Shawshank Redemption. And oh my God, it is absolutely brilliant. Um, Easy top 20, maybe even top 15 films of all time for me, genuinely. It was absolutely incredible from just start to finish. Um, so to just get right into it, the acting performances are absolutely top notch. Like easily some of the best acting I have ever seen in any film I have ever watched. I didn't know who Tim Robbins was before this. Yeah, I just looked at his film catalog, and literally there's nothing in there that I recognize other than Shawshank Redemption, which I just finished, which kind of blows my mind, honestly. I think it's just crazy that, like, I've never heard of him before, but he did such an absolutely brilliant job. Um, and then, of course, Morgan Freeman was just, I haven't seen that many movies with Morgan Freeman in it, but holy crap. His performance was just, it was so good. Now, to talk about the characters, the main character, Annie, who Tim Robbins plays, absolutely brilliant. Like, such a simple yet compelling main character. From the very start, they use this idea that he was framed for murder as a way to kind of build audience sympathy, but it's not done too much. A, it's like a nice level. It's like a nice even level of where it balances out. Um, and then throughout the course of the beginning part of the movie, and mostly through the middle as well, you get to see like different aspects of his personality be on full display for the audience to see, which I feel like was a brilliant move because what that does is it it never quite like maintains one image of this character of Andy that the audience has in their heads. And so by no clear image being created of what the audience thinks the character's personality is, it allows for the character to have so many different personalities on display and all of those to be developed and formed into one incredibly rich, cohesive character. Now, what do I mean when I say these multiple personalities that are on display? What I'm talking about is like his proficiency for doing taxes, his ability to be able to talk to people. The fact that in the beginning he's relatively closed off, but slowly opens up more. This idea that he also adopts the 10 years of red, after being there for such a long time himself. Um, he's kind of like no shit determination attitude, even when his ass was being beaten and he was being assaulted, like away from view in another room by other inmates, and the guards didn't pay any attention to the way he was able to coerce the guards later on, to the way that eventually morphed into him saying, I won't take your shit anymore to the warden and escaping the prison. Like, he, Andy has got to be one of the absolutely just richest, roundest main characters I have ever seen in a film. The the magnitude to which he's written and the amount of different aspects that he displays with his personality and the way that Tim Robbins manages to act all of those out is just it is absolutely incredible to creating disbelief. And then we have to talk about the other main character, Red. So from the beginning, this character in opposite comparison to Andy, mind you, Red is very much a character that is like fully on display for the most part. Um, like you know everything that you need to know about his personality within, I would say, probably the first like 10 to 20 minutes of the film. Um, And I think that works really well because, he's like that guy. He's your guy if you need to get something. He's a friendly, approachable person who, if you try to expose him, he won't do business with you anymore. He's a very shrewd business person, understands what makes good business and what makes bad business. Um, But the thing that I like about the fact that it's like a 90-10 ratio, like 90% of his personality is on display, it's it's kind of like um if you're thinking of paved sidewalk and you see cracks in the sidewalk, then you have to figure out how to pave the cracks in the sidewalk. In like or like a road for a better example, like a freshly paved road that happens to get a pothole in it. You have to figure out how to pave the pothole before you can completely understand how to drive on the road. That's what his character is like. You understand so much of it from the get-go, but there's just this little bit that is hidden away. But it's not like a major secret that is like shown to you during like a twist reveal during the movie. Believe me, there are twist reveals. We'll get to those. But this is an example of that. This is like where it's just little subtle details that you can pick up based on the dialogue. And I'll talk about the dialogue more in a second. But there's one other character I really, really wanted to mention, and that is the main villain, uh, the Warden, Norton. And he is an example of how to do a simple, unassuming, yet absolutely brilliant antagonist. Because the reason that he works so well as a villain is because of the way that he interacts with the other characters, which means that um, there can be a lot of subtle detail built up with his interactions with these characters that slowly kind of unravel his villainous nature. And the way this is done is in a way I haven't ever seen with a villain do before, and it's an extremely unique and fresh perspective that I absolutely love. Also, the actor for this, just like Tim Robinson, I've never heard of before, Bob Gunter. The acting for him, absolutely brilliant. Um, Now, the next thing I want to talk about is absolutely the dialogue. The dialogue might just be the most brilliant part of this entire film. Um, like the writing and the way that they manage to kind of have their themes displayed like an open book, but also not really even is just absolutely incredible to me. Um, they do. There are so many things that they do, like the wording that they use. Is like the much deeper side that it can be very obviously representing the theme sometimes, and then sometimes not. And then the dialogue is also brilliant because um this is by no means really a comedy, but when there are one-liners in there, dude, they are like absolute comedy. Like the dialogue is also somehow a work of comedic genius. Like every single one-liner that was in this movie, I was absolutely laughing my butt off because especially because they're so subtle and you could easily miss it if you don't take at least another 5 seconds to think about what you just heard. And I absolutely love that. Normally, that's like that can be something that can be a little bit annoying sometimes because, like, what's the point of a joke if it's not super obvious? Like, this movie does its humor incredibly smart, and that's another thing I really, really like about it. Um, Another thing I think the last thing that I absolutely have to talk about is just how goddamn perfect the plot is to this movie. Um, the pacing is just absolutely immaculate. Like never throughout this entire movie did I feel like, that I feel like, things were poorly rushed or anything like that. Nothing ever felt like too slow either. Like it really knew when to focus on the slow parts and when to speed up the fast parts. Like for example, it will have like a series of scenes that will probably take course over that will probably take um that will probably happen over the course of just like a couple days, maybe. And then they'll have like entire time skips of like a couple of years. Um including like my favorite transition in the film, which is like how Andy goes from like, helping out a guard and getting beers to the the full on fucking tax returns for the entire um guard staff, and then that is it eventually becomes the state baseball team and their main competitors. Like what? It's such an absolutely absurd transition, but it just works. That's what I love about this movie. Everything just works. Because when you think about it in a superficial way, it makes sense. But then when you think about it on a deeper narrative connective level, it also makes sense. everything with the plot and the pacing of this movie is so like brilliantly glued together that it just makes for such a seamless watching experience. And this movie also probably has one of, if not the most satisfying and fully complete endings to any movie I've ever seen. Like like the payoff of where Andy used the little pickaxe from the very beginning of the movie to be slowly digging the holes, and the reveal of how he actually escaped the prison was just absolutely stellar. Um, and the way that it's like meta commented on by Morgan Freeman's narration throughout the entire film, it provides this really unique like perspective because it almost feels like it's his perspective when it's in prison, but at the same time it's not. It's a really weird like balancing controversial um opposite effect that I really, really, really like a lot. It's really, really well done. Um, and then the way that it ends, like, by focusing so much in the movie on Andy and then like concluding Red's story by having it like, reconfigure to like, the whole analogy of like, you can either like I forget what the quote was. It was like work hard dying or work hard living. I think I can't remember quite what it is. Um, but like the way that's paid off, I didn't even talk about like the old man from Murder in the movie. Um, the way that like that whole thing like pays off and plays into the themes. I didn't even talk about the themes. Okay, it's tangent on themes real quick. The themes of just the nature of human connection and human relationship and what relationship and connection means to a human. Every way in which that's explored is just absolute brilliancy. That's the only way I can put it. Like, there are so many metaphors that are layered into the dialogue and the plot progression that just tie into the themes so well. Everything is so connected brilliantly in this movie. Um and the themes are so powerful because they're obvious, but they're also um, so like they call out to you, but they're also not announcing that they're there. It's absolutely brilliant. Um And then the way that going back to the ending now, the way that the ending just so completely wraps up everything. Um, it like him reflecting on the same lifestyle and him like making his mark just like Rook, I think was his name did. Um, And then the final ending shot of them finally reuniting. It's so good. Everything about this movie is just so brilliantly narratively connected. Every aspect of the film ties into a different aspect of the film. And it's done in a style film like I've just never seen before in any other film. Um, Absolutely just up there with like best movies ever, I think. So good. Absolutely watch this film if you've never seen it before. Watch it. But anyway, that is going to do it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.